Hey, how's it going, everybody?
Well, good, Mail. How are you?
Welcome to session 7.
Woo!
Oh my god, it's session 7. It's session 7. That's so crazy. Oh my god.
Wow. What happened last time, Mail?
What happened last time? We got to
remember?
Umberlee.
Yes.
Yeah, you got to Umberleen. Then you went up to the monastery. You talked to Chris for a second, and he was like, "I'm going to talk to you in the morning." And then you slept. And then
now it's the morning
time. And now it's the morning time.
We had breakfast.
We had breakfast.
Oh yeah, we had
and
breakfast.
some mushy oatmeal or something.
Yeah.
Nyla could Maud could describe it for us again if she really wanted to. And that was it. Well, but what did you guys do? You left Shaith Weiss on the train, got to Umberlee.
Yeah.
Basically is what happened. Great. You are currently all eating breakfast on the tatami mats at the Umberleen Monastery. And ready to start the day. You know, we're looking at about 800 hours of the day. Early morning. The sun has risen. And the monks of the monastery are kind of all moving throughout.
Harley's concerned about.
I thought it rises at like 10. It has, or
You're
is
on
it?
top of a
is
mountain.
It, oh, fair. I was
kind of imagining like an above the cloud situation.
That makes sense.
So if you look out these if you look out the doors / windows / just like open walls of the monastery, you're gonna be looking at like a sun rising over these white clouds because you've just surpassed that. When you had arrived, it was like nighttime, the clouds had dissipated or there wasn't any. You know, you weren't really looking at that morning condensation. I don't know how it works. Nobody correct me. But now you're looking out at this like beautiful scene on top of a mountain, and that's kind of where you're at right now. You recognize a lot of the monks are going to start walking to the front door. A lot of them will be going down into town to bless the people and speak to people about Umberleen, and just be communitarian and interact with the community. Does Maud go with them on this schedule, or is Maud kind of abandoning the regular schedule that she would live her life because of this different scenario?
I think because we got shit to do, she's just gonna be like, I've done it enough before, right? And then,
Alright, okay.
right? And then go find, like, before, like, they start heading out, like, go grab Chris and be like, come over here. Like, we gotta chat. We said we would chat. We gotta chat.
Yeah, Chris is most definitely around. I think you'll find him in the, like, courtyard-ish area, just tending to the chickens. I imagine he likes to do that in the morning.
Hey, Chris!
Oh, hey! How'd you sleep, Maud?
Oh, like a pig in a blanket. Well, you know how we had a little chat last night about, helping us with our little mission thing?
Oh, yeah. You came here to, get into the library, right?
Yes, if that's not, too much of a hassle.
Well, no, you know your way around. Just make sure that your friends aren't damaging or taking any of the books, alright? It is a private library. We're not really supposed to allow many guests unless they're trusted with the access to the information. But you were sent here by someone?
Yes. We were sent by Lord Weisneros.
Ah. Great job.
Proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah, alright. He's been kind. Alright, well, you take your time. Go ahead. I'm gonna head down to talk with the people and, spread the message as I will. If you're looking for Noodles, by the way, she's out in the gazebo, but she should be coming in today. If you wanted to hang out with her. I know you guys are friends.
Yeah, that would be lovely. If you could, when the shift change happens, if you want to tell her we're in the library, because that'll probably happen all day.
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds good, Ma. I'll see you later.
See ya, Chris.
And
She waddles her way back. Yeah.
Yeah, you both will leave the courtyard He's finished feeding the chickens. And he'll leave the courtyard. You know, you'll start to see the monastery kind of weed out. There's definitely some people who are staying, some older monks, and the children who are going to be in classes. And some of them will go. Some of them will, you know, be on a little field trip, if you will. But this monastery is now, it started to calm down, and there started to be less people kind of like flooding throughout. You are now, I assume, Maud, you go back to the group and tell them?
Yep. All right, folks, let's go to the boring snooze town of the library.
You know you're saying that with 2 bookworms in the group, right?
3, technically.
We have no worms here.
Make that 3, please.
I'm not talking about myself.
Me and Labena and Faye.
I'm talking about you and Morta. Oh, Almabena's also a reader. She just whittles.
We were raised in the library together.
Well, no one's an actual worm, so come on, let's go to the library. And she, like, you know, again, waddles over to where it is.
Yeah, so you guys walk into this library. It is, it's L-shaped, sort of a perfect, like, 90-degree angle.
After Maud says, "No one here is a worm," Martyr's gonna look at Alabena and go, "Would you still love me if I was a worm?"
Yes, I would still love you if you were a worm. I would carve you little furniture.
Oh,
That's so sweet.
Oh my
Thank you,
God.
Alabena.
Yeah, so you walk into this library. You're seeing, you know, a few rows of books. These all seem very old, but well taken care of. Like, there's a sense that these are treated with a lot of care, and are maintained at at a book maintaining level, like temperature-wise, and, you know, all those details of bookkeeping that I wouldn't know.
no magic in here, please.
There is a pile of maps in one corner. You're seeing that, sort of a rack of these, like, scrolls of maps. If any of you wanted to take a look into that. But right now you're just looking at a lot of books. Do we want a direction on where we're kind of getting to, or?
Okay. What are the things that we need to find information on so I can write it down because I didn't last time?
We are supposed to be looking for the true reason of the war right now, and how the Fey War of ADPWD plays into
So
it.
probably, like, history books, or, like, timepieces.
Or if there's any, like... Would the monastery have, like, gossip?
No.
No? Okay, because
They have tea.
it says what the true reason of the war is, and then the monastery might have an answer in the library.
The true reason of which war, sorry? This one?
The current war.
Can I do a little investigation and start
Wonderful.
looking around?
Yeah, I wanna run that investigation.
All
too.
right, everybody roll investigation. I assume we're all going to be looking.
Alright.
Yes, sir.
I will give Maud advantage, though.
Maud's not looking.
What, Maud? This is your library.
I'm gonna be like, Maud, do you know your way around? Can I?
Well, I have read every
Maud can
book
give you
in
the help
here,
action.
but...
Maud can give each of you the help action, and then you can have advantage if she chooses to give you the help action. But if she's just chilling and not doing shit, then
I did ask Maud for help. I will say that.
yeah. Did she help you?
Sure.
Okay, in that
Okay, there we
case,
go.
I get not a 9.
Do I
but a
roll then, or-
16. It's
Great.
help action is advantage, right? Question mark.
Okay. You might
Yeah,
find
that's what I-
something right here.
That's what I understand it to be. Yeah.
I think so.
I rolled nat 20.
Hot damn.
Oh.
Plus 3.
okay.
Well done.
Well,
Let's
you
go.
know what?
We all rolled pretty damn good, so.
Yeah, I'm just gonna drop a doc into the thing.
Awesome.
Oh, amazing. I genuinely like this. I love reading at this point. I think the Treaty of Consequence might be relevant.
Oh, just maybe. At this moment, right now, the players are searching and they're finding books and they're reading them for information. It's kind of a searching, scanning scenario.
Put in the ad break now.
This is ad break. After 10 minutes of playing.
Have you ever wanted to get rid of some nasty cobalts in your yard? Well, here with the product of Poking Stick will help you so much. You see, it's an easy invention where you just go up to the cobalt and poke it in its little tush, and it'll easily run away. Poking Stick, buy now.
Poking stick is not responsible for death, dismemberment, or loss of your penis.
I think Martyr is definitely reading through the Treaty of Consequence first. And then go into the history stuff, which they already pretty much know a lot about. I have a high history knowledge, so smart me.
I'm gonna read aloud the Treaty of Consequence. So this treaty is from the War of ADWPD. The war that, as we understand it, prevents the traveling to the Feywild and the Infernal Realm by the Fey. After this war. This also was a war that determined the boundaries of the nations, like their territorial their territories, I suppose. So I'm just gonna read this. The Treaty of ADPD. The following is a rewritten copy of the Treaty of ADWPD between the Fey monarchs, the Emperor of the Catfolk, the Lord of the Dragonborn, and the King of the High Elves, the Lord of the Shadowfolk, and the King of the Gnomes, Lord of the Orcs, Laird of the Wood Elves, and Lord of the Humble People. The Treaty of Consequence is made and concluded in the year of 80 post the world drowning. It is written under the consciousness and observation of our fair leaders by Vulan Passaran, advisor to King of High Elves, who has declared their nation name as Esserin. This treaty is signed in the eyes and spirit of the goddess Umberlee. It is a commitment to fair and reasonable exchange for the time immemorial between the 9 nations of Tisigri, and a commitment to access no power which breaks the laws of balance hereafter. Upon the completion of the war, the Fae, the Dragonborn, and the Catfolk agreed to remain on the islands in their respective nations and within the territorial bounds as set forth by this treaty. Whereas a deal is made with one of the mainland nations, the Fae, Dragonborn, and Catfolk may accept more territory from a mainland nation and may acquire land on the mainland. Mainland nations include, as declared by their leaders, Daeso Daidekir of the Shadowfolk, Esserin of the High Elves, Kiamoria of the Wood Elves, Tadbolt of the Gnomes, Bolt Shrug of the Orcs, Oldon by the Humble People. Island nations now include, as declared by their leaders, Yomamelia of the Fae, Awazajit of the Catfolk, Abriathus of the Dragonborn. The Fae commit to the closure and never reopening of the 2 gates, the Infernal and Feywild gates, respectively, for the endless time and future of our nations. The mainland nations grant permission to the Fae to hold this treaty in their nation for its protection, whereas it remains protected by the invulnerable object spell, and it is then unable to harm, damage, or alter while the spell is active. The mainland nation agrees to send a representative every 10 years to re-sign this treaty with at least one of the Fey monarchs present for observation. They are not required to re-sign. This ensures the treaty condition and ensures constant commitment. This signature rebinds the treaty's magical binding. This treaty is magically binding. Should any nation committed to this treaty break its commitment, the individuals who had done so will face certain death, and the nation themselves will face a decade of punishment not limited to uncontrollable biome, the weather forces, famine, pestilence, and barrenness. The signatures on this paper are binding to the current leaders and the people of each nation, and to all those that come after. Nutmeg, Foggy White, Daybreak, Olive Cup, Nasia, can't read that name in that crazy font that it's written in, Nathan Humbleton, Nesgeo Thorn, Grebenis Dusinger, Bestin Hamanos, Big Dolg, Abdullah Gaddafi, Redri Strongcollar, and I think that the one that's really difficult to read is Vermarash Washrasi, but I honestly can't remember. I can look that up if people really care. But he's the Abrioth god, he's the Abrioth lord, so he's not relevant right now. Is anybody looking at any other document, or we kind of want to talk about the treaty first?
Martyr is scanning, but upon finishing reading the treaty, they will kind of speak up and be like, "Do you think that maybe a treaty was broken? Someone didn't do what they were told to do? Missed the 10-year mark?"
In what way do you mean?
Well, maybe I don't know much about what goes on. Maybe one of the lords didn't meet with the Fae, and now the Fae are mad. So maybe that's what caused the war. Or maybe, because it says that they don't need to re-sign, so maybe the Fae just decided they no longer want to honor the treaty.
The treaty signing didn't happen this year.
When was the last one, though?
It'll happen 6 years ago.
And
if
were people there? Do you know that? Did people show up to sign?
I assume so. A representative would come to Dahlia because it's closer than Amaya is how you pronounce it?
Afmaya.
Afmaya. I'm not looking at it, so I don't know. Dahlia's closer to the mainland than Afmaya, so most of the treaty signings, if not all of them, were handled in Dahlia. A representative from the mainland comes over to Dahlia and is present, I assume, when the treaties are signed. It's sometimes a big spectacle, depending on which representative they decide to send over. Sometimes it's not. It really depends on which nation they send a representative from. If it's from fucking Esserin, they make a big spectacle about it to try to rub their noses around on us. But if it's someone from Deus Undrakir, I said it right, shut up. They tend to be, like, I don't recall if that nation ever sent anyone, because there wasn't a spectacle.
Okay.
So, it really depends. The next one will be signed in 4-ish years.
That's just from the treaty. That's the only thing I can think about. What would make someone upset to start a wars?
It's a shit treaty.
Oh.
I'm not in any place of power to do anything about it. I'm just allowed to have an opinion. It's all this pausing is in character, by the way. This is not Harley thinking. The treaty signing is always a sour spot. At least in Dahlia, it was. It's after a decade, we get reminded of how much control we're under, how we're not allowed to do things.
Do most people from Yoma Malia feel the same way?
It's divided. It's either you dislike the treaty, you have your opinions on it, or you keep your mouth shut. Not many from Yoma Malia would rave about this treaty.
Well, that could make sense with why people say the Fae are involved. If the majority of the Fae are not happy with the treaty, then, I mean, it wouldn't...
Just because a nation is angry does not mean that they're going to do something about it.
I know. I'm not pointing fingers. I'm just trying to figure out what could have caused the war. This could be an option. I'm not saying it is the option.
Mm-hmm.
Guckflip,
Yes.
you're a lord. What do you know about the treaties?
I don't know a lot, but I do know that my uncle was one of the representatives that went to Dahlia to re-sign for the last 3 decades. But he died on the most recent trip.
Before he could sign it?
Yeah.
So he could have accidentally broken the treaty via dying.
Or someone killed him.
That too. Which would have also, if he wasn't there to sign, then that could be one of the reasons that there's some issues happening, maybe.
Was someone sent to sign in his place?
You think yes. You know yes.
I believe somebody signed it in his place as it was just an accident. I didn't hear of anything, that would imply it was intentionally that somebody maybe murdered him or whatever. All I heard was it was just a horrible incident. And yeah, to my knowledge, somebody signed.
Well, what happened to him? Now I'm interested.
I don't really know.
The reports that your family got were that it was a horrific accident, that they apologized for the, that they're like doing their duty as a nation to be like, I cannot, can't we, send our condolences at the death of your uncle, your family, and you understand that it was a terrific accident. They said something about a tree branch falling on him, and it was just, so unpreventable.
Yeah.
And unfortunately you didn't get any more information than that. Your family didn't get any more information than that.
Right.
All you received was his body later, and he was dead, and you had a funeral for him.
Right.
And that's it. Yeah.
Okay. That's all I got.
Huh.
The body was crushed to a point where it was unrecognizable.
I could maybe try and get a bit more clarity from my patrons on it. See if I'm thinking the right way.
I don't think that's wise.
Okay. Why not?
I think we should use... She hesitates. I think we should try to figure out what happened with the information that we have before asking for intervention.
Okay. I wouldn't be asking them for intervention, I would just be seeing if I'm on the right track. But if you'd rather look through the books, that's fine. Anyone else see anything that might help?
Did anybody read The War of 80 Years Post-World Drowning?
I've only read what you have read out loud.
Okay, I'll read it out loud. The War of 80 Years Post-World Drowning is a novel that you see here. Hardcover, bound and printed. And it reads, after 80 years of settling into Sigri, the faction's leaders, in brackets, which hadn't yet established borders, but had established ruling monarchies, protectors, commanders, close bracket, came together in the province we now know as Tadbolt, in the makeshift settlement of Gir Cairn. Most of what was west of Gir Cairn and Tadbolt and the upper half of Keamoria, of what we now understand as Keamoria, was Feyland. They met to establish the proper borders and a system that would govern to Sigri. The attendants to this meeting were King Vestin Haemanos of the High Elves, and his friend and advisor, Vulin Passaran. 3 of the Fey monarchy, Nutmeg, Foggy White, Daybreak, Olive Cup, and Nazia of Yomimelia. Queen Nesgio Thorn of the Gnomes, Lord Rendry Strongcollar of the Shadowfolk, Lord Vigdold of the Orcs, Laird Grebenis Dewsinger of the Wood Elves, Lord Ilks Kermirash Wariasashi, and his advisor Exultimad Zorzios of the Dragonborn. It's not my fault that Dragonborn names are unpronounceable. I googled Dragonborn name generator, and that's what it came up with. And I was like, what?
You usually just gotta hit random until you get one you can say.
Yeah, until you get one you can say. Emperor Abdallah Gaddafi of the Catfolk, and Nathan Humbleton of Odone, or as the representative of the people of Humble. At this meeting, they laid out the borders that were somewhat already determined by the placement of camps and settlements of each group, in some manner of how they all came to the continent. The Fae, being already a smaller group, were unsatisfied with their territory and desired more, knowing they were likely to grow more in numbers as they established gateways to the Feywild realm and the underworld. They raised this concern. When denied, threatened to take the territory they required. They desired nearly a quarter of all to Sigri mainland. The other factions were naturally scared by this power. This ability to open a gateway and access infernal power put them all in jeopardy of losing their land and lives. So they refused to allow them more territory, and created a document which would magically bind the Fae, never able to open a gateway. The Fae were outraged and declared war. In a private meeting with the Dragonborn and the Catfolk, they decided to work together, to take all the territory. The Dragonborn and the Catfolk conceded to the Fae, opening gateways to the Feywild realm and the underworld. In the first battle, the Fae and the Dragonborn took the Shadowfolk by surprise, and they were able to secure their territory. They then decided to close in on Tadbolt, and secured that province too. Early victories were good, but they knew then closing Tadbolt would bolster movement of the High Elves. The only way they could win was stopping the High Elves' hand. Some catfolk snuck into the royal settlement of the High Elves, and were able to abduct Queen Eris Yessa, sister and mother to the very young Ilaria Yessa. Because of this, the High Elves were unable to attack and held their hand for fear of her murder. Gugflip, you recognize Ilaria Yessa as current queen and mother to the Princess Saray of Esserin.
She's the current queen of Esserin.
Yes. The Fae and the Dragonborn took the Humbleton region with ease. That's Ilaria Yessa, for just clarification. The Fae and the Dragonborn took the Humbleton region with ease. Their mistake was moving into Keamoria territory, who used the dense forest and their natural habitat to win and push back against the Fae. The Wood Elves lost many of their numbers in the process, but defending their territory and taking Fae land. After suffering this defeat, the Fae made their critical mistake. They opened a Feywild gate in an attempt to access more power. The information that this gate opened was leaked to the rest of the nation. Rumors spread that this leak was by a catfolk ally. It seemed Bulkshrug was intent on staying uninvolved, but the knowledge of a gate opening spurred them into action. They attacked the Fae and the Dragonborn with all their force, pushing them off the mainland. They forced the closure of the Feywild Gate realm and found that Eris was gone. They notified the High Elves, and upon hearing of Eris's disappearance, the High Elves finalized the attack by punishing the catfolk off the land. Pushing the catfolk off the land. After this horrific defeat, the Fae were forced to sign the documents preventing their creation of any gates, and were relegated to their island, and new official boundaries were set, the ones we see today. Bulk Shrug placed a settlement at the end of the Dragonborn land as a fear tactic to prevent further war. However, the Dragonborn have close political ties with Bolshrug, and the Catfolk work closely with Esserin. The Fae remain surrounded by enemies. Those present at the meeting which began the war identified their nation's established names after the war. It's a list of those same names I read out earlier. And then, finally, Eris, mother to Queen Ilaria, was never seen again and is presumed dead. Another thing you see in the library is a compendium of major royal lineages, which has all of them, but the only one that I decided to make was the Esserini family one. Because I got too busy after that. So you can see that. And I'll post that on the socials if people care. The other two documents you're seeing is A History Before the World Drowning and Umberlee, A Worship Guide, which I can also read out if somebody is reading that / wants to hear that one read out.
Marta's gonna kind of like, upon reading the history, almost a bit nervous to speak because they are getting the sense it's a bit of a tense topic. But they will kind of like cower a little bit as they speak. Be like, it does seem, hear me out, on paper that the people of the Feywild have the most motive to want to start a war. However, it also just seems, to be the devil's advocate, a bit too perfect laid out. It could be someone trying to frame the Fae. Because, again, on paper, it makes a lot of sense that it would be them doing it.
For context, all of you are currently under the impression, the dominant narrative is that Esserin started this war, with a declaration that they would take the Kia Moria territory.
It does seem...
That's what you understand.
That, on paper, Fae could... Because it does say that they're involved, and it does look like they would be the ones to start it, but we do know that Esserin is at the root of it, so it could be Esserin covering their tracks, maybe?
What do you think was...
The war you're reading about right now is the one of ADPWD, not the current war.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
I know, Marta's kind of like piecing them together.
Yeah, okay, great.
So what do you think started this war, then? Other than the declaration, if you think it's something else?
You keep mentioning that there's a bit of bad blood between Esserin and the Feywild.
She grits her teeth. Yes.
On both sides?
The perspective that I have of people from Esserin is just that of those that came over to sign the treaty, and they were fucking high elves. They brandished their power. They were just showboating almost. Like, when they came onto our land, they were brandishing the fact that they were snuffing us out. That's how it felt. It was insulting.
Alright. So, if we think that Esserin does not like the Feywild, it could make sense that they're, maybe trying to... Maybe they don't agree with the treaty. And maybe they're the reason... Their reason for starting the war is that they think that they are the highest of all the royals, and maybe they're trying to, take over everything so they can, undo this treaty with the Fae and kind of stab you guys in the back or something. I don't know.
Surprising. I'm honestly... Because Esserin is involved, I'm surprised that Yamamelia hasn't allied with any side.
That could be your tactics, maybe with saying it with how we found the note that says the Fae are involved. That could be Esserin kind of maybe trying to convince people that, hey, we're not the bad guys here. Remember that the Fae don't like us.
I have written down here that Saray thinks her family is being influenced with something to do with her grandma who was kidnapped by the Fae, and that her family has been making deals with the Fae. And Saray is, the princess of Esserin who started. It has something to do with the Fae. But I just wanted to know if that was something I just wrote down, or is something that, Vespernos actually, said to us.
I think that he said that to you. Cool.
You think it has something to do with the kidnapped queen?
Possibly.
That is definitely how Lord Westnoros made it sound.
If it has something to do with that queen, though, wouldn't
It makes sense.
Esserin have declared war on Yomamelia, not on Kiamoria? The ones who evidently won?
Maybe they can't do it directly?
Maybe they're trying to overpower Kiamoria to build their forces, get stronger via force.
Get closer to the area.
He said
Maybe.
possibly. He also said that they were making deals, so they might have made an agreement about it somehow.
That's another thing that we haven't even touched on. It could be, again, sorry for the pointing fingers. It could be Esserin and Feywild against the rest of...
If I know anything about the people of Yomamelia, it would take a lot to work with Esserin.
Maybe they're trying to find their lost queen and still have hope that she's alive.
Or maybe it's not the people of Yomamelia, but perhaps just,
The power?
a noble or two. Yeah, the power.
Like a specific person? What do you mean?
I'm not sure, just whomever is pulling the strings over there. Maybe they've decided to make a deal behind the scenes and or maybe going behind the back of the people of Yomamelia.
One of the monarchs, maybe.
Yeah.
Can Maud do an insight check on Ariadani?
Yes.
So 16 plus 3 is 19.
Ariadani looks nervous. She's choosing her words very carefully. And you get the sense that she knows more than she's letting on.
You're acting kind of sus.
Sus? Suspicious.
Suspect.
Alright, then, if I'm acting suspicious, what do you think I'm...
You're not telling us something. And to be fair, we've only known each other for not that long, so it's understandable that you would be hesitant to tell us any information. But considering what is happening right now, I think that it may be crucial to our investigation.
I doubt that what I know would be helpful.
Well, you can try.
I really don't think it's relevant.
But
We should look through the information we have to try to figure it out.
Would what you know give us more context?
Context in what?
All of it.
It depends on what we think. It depends on what we're thinking at this point.
well, I have a theory. You see, the first day that we met, you mentioned a brother. And I feel like you're protecting him in some way due to something that he may have done.
She looks you straight in the eye. I will say, when you said brother, she froze, but she looks you straight in the eye, kind of like strongly. Say what you meant to say. What are you insinuating? What do you think I'm protecting my brother from?
Well, you said it yourself that you have been traveling for 6 years, which coincides with when the treaty was last signed. Something happened, and I do not mean to offend or anything, but if it could help us in any sort of capacity, it would help.
What do you think I am protecting him from. You did not answer my question. You will not offend me. I've asked you a question. I am ready. I'm prepared for an answer that I asked for.
Well, maybe he did something for someone to affect the treaty?
Just because I'm from Umberleen and protecting my brother, you think I'm involved in a war? Is that what's happening? She looks around at people.
I don't think that's what they're insinuating.
Then what are they insinuating? Because right now what it sounds like is you think my brother killed someone, and that's started a war 6 years later.
I don't think that's what it is. I think we're just trying to figure... Stumbling on their words. My only question that I'm wondering about, me personally, is, was your brother involved with the higher-ups of power in Yomamelia, and was he ever at those treaty signings?
The treaties were signed 400 years ago.
Like the re-signing.
No, the re-signing. The 6...
It's 6 years
Oh,
ago.
the re-signings. Oh.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Sorry.
That's the one my uncle died at.
Yeah, that's the one your uncle died at.
We are not...
I'm not saying he killed anyone.
We don't hold any power to be at one of those. We just were in the town when they came through.
Could have been a wrong place, wrong time thing.
Well, I don't think he would kill anyone.
Or he was framed.
In regards to his involvement in anyone like that, he was a flirt. He fell for someone who came through. Wasn't during a treaty signing. We were 16. She changed him, put ideas in his head, did something.
Was it the queen?
No. It was not a queen. Though if you ask her, she fucking acted like it.
Was she from Esserin?
No.
I just want to make it clear that I do not think that you are the cause of this war, and I really hope that you're not
I
getting
don't think that that's what you're saying either.
Okay.
I think
good.
what you guys are accusing is that it's my brother.
I don't think your brother caused the war either. I'm just, you know.
I don't think he caused the war because the war happened this year.
Yeah, no, and I agree. I think the same thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bit confusing as to why, you know, if you know something that adds to this, if you're keeping it. However, I do also understand, you know, not wanting to air all your laundry out. So I don't know where I stand on this. Personally.
We can't have caused the war. We just want to know if you have any information that would add context.
We should try to think about
I'm
what
just trying
deal
to cry.
happened between Esserin and Yomamelia, because I wasn't up there, so I don't actually have any inside information. I just lived in Dahlia, so I saw people coming in and out. Should try to work on speculation for that.
Alright.
Instead of mucking about with things that did not happen during a year that the war started.
If someone was to know anything, it would probably be someone from Esserin or someone from Dahlia. So maybe if we ask the right questions, find the right people, we might be able to figure that out. What the deals were, or if they even are deals.
I doubt there's anything in the library that we could find.
Yeah, perhaps that's more reason for us to go to Dahlia after here.
I am uncomfortable with the energy in this room right now.
There is...
Well,
Ariadani?
if you don't want to say anything, we'll be here if you want to. Let's keep
There's
looking.
nothing to say.
Okay.
I'm asking why you guys are being so accusatory, because I know there's nothing to say.
I'm not trying to be accusatory. I'm
Okay.
sorry if it's coming across that way.
We should look into deals that Esserin could have made, and why Esserin made deals with Yomamelia. That's what we should look into.
Is there any books that we can find in here that is more recent that could potentially give us any clue into that? Or all the books in here like hundreds of years old?
No, there's more recently published books, but you are never going to see like you could search through this entire library and you will never see, you'll never read of anything of an interaction between Yomelia and Esserin. That's not like a trade deal. That's not like an economic prosperous pursuit.
Okay.
Yeah, like you won't read anything that's like political dealings beyond the treaty and maintenance of the treaty.
Fair enough. Well, if you want to keep reading, I'm gonna find noodles.
Well, considering we were already planning to go to Dahlia, let's just do that.
I think to find that kind of answer, we do need to go, like I said, to like the source of it. So either we gotta go to Esserin or we gotta go...
I'm gonna look for more thesis
And
info.
almost as if speaking her name, what happens is the door to the library swings open, and you see a young Firbolg, perhaps just a bit younger than Chris, looks pretty similar, but oh girl, and goes, Maud! Hey! Oh my god!
Noodles!
You're back! I'm so happy to hear about it!
Maud runs over and, like, hugs her around the waist.
Yeah. They give each other a hug. They're like, oh my god, besties.
Yeah.
So, what'd you do? Oh, you have friends! Hi! Praise Umberleen, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Maud's back.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. My visit is a little earlier than normal, but here I am.
Yeah. Well, good to see you.
Good to see you too.
How long are you staying?
I don't think we'll be staying for too long.
What?
Yeah, sorry.
Oh. And she's like, you're not staying for long?
No, we're on official business.
What official business?
Oh, I can't tell you that.
What? No, you can. Come on.
Okay.
And she kind of puts her hands out to like do a little like finger
does
thing where she's like wiggling her fingers. Yeah, and you guys are wiggling your fingers
You
together.
can tell it's definitely slower than her.
Yeah.
Oh, we just have to do some figuring things out for a lord person.
Cool. I'm starving, Maud. Do you want to come to the kitchen with me?
Sure.
Okay, tell me about all your stuff. And they just leave you guys in that library. You can follow if you want, but yeah, so they're gonna just go into the kitchen and Maud, do you tell Noodles about what you guys are doing or what you guys are up to, or do you change the
I think Maud changes the subject, like being like, oh, it's boring stuff, you won't be interested, and instead tells her about like what she's been doing the past 7 years.
Yeah, when you guys walk into the kitchen, you see like you don't see anybody there. Normally you might expect Smoke to be there, but he's not. And she just kind of grabs like an apple and some snacks that were prepared for her by Smokes. Like there's clearly something on the table, because she just came off of fasting for like 5 days, so she's could eat.
Yeah.
And so this is like totally normal behavior.
Yeah,
to
she
you
throws
to,
an
like,
apple
go
at
and
me,
do
and
that.
Maud catches it fully in her mouth
Yeah.
and just chomps it down.
Oh my god, adorable.
I feel like Maud would eat an apple in like 2 bites.
Oh yeah, and she wouldn't like core it either.
No,
She
it's
just-
fully,
the
it's
whole
fully like
thing.
she threw the apple at Maud, and Maud jumped up like a dog and just chomped it.
Perfect. It's beautiful. I love it. How are we doing in the library? We'll leave them to kind of hang out in the kitchen, chat and whatever. Get to catch up, and you're reading. Gutslip's reading books.
I'm looking for just more general war history and more just general history and stuff for thesis reasons.
Yep.
Martyr is gonna kind of gently nudge Ariadani out of earshot of the other two to talk to her. Just be like, "Hi, are you okay?"
I'm fine, love. Don't worry about me.
I mean, I do worry about you. I care about you, and that was a lot for anyone. I know you're all tough and cool and shit, but, you know, no one wants to hear that.
It's just, I don't know what's going on with the war. I'm as in the dark as you all are, so it's...
I know that. And she's gonna kind of like hold her hands out for you. Does she take her hands?
Just take one of your hands.
Okay. She'll like put her other hand over it. And be
Her
like,
left hand is busy writing.
I know that I haven't known you for a long time, but I know that you're a good person. I don't want you to ever think that I won't think that of you. And I don't think you're capable of anything. She like hesitates as she's thinking for the word. And like you'll say martyr, she
With all
goes,
due respect, you don't know if I'm a good person or not.
I know that you're not. I know that I don't know that. However, I feel it in my gut that you're a good person. And I trust that. Because I don't feel that for many people. So, I just, you
might just not understand how I'm bad yet. She lets go of your hand.
Well, I think everyone's a little bit bad. But I think everyone's a little bit good, too.
We should look through the books again. Try to figure this out.
Okay.
Her tail is wrapped around her leg.
Yeah. Just, okay, I can leave you alone. It's just, I'm in your corner, okay?
I'm inclined to say that that's a lapse in judgment. Would that be nihilistic?
I think you're just too hard on yourself.
I do things for reasons, love.
As do everyone.
I'm not just saying this because I think that I deserve to be punished. I know who I am better than you do at this point.
Yeah.
The fact that you think I'm a good person is flattering.
I just think that you have shown me more kindness than a lot of people would even try to. And I know that I don't know what you've done or what you do, but I know how you make me feel. And, I think you should give yourself more grace. But I know that's easier said than done. Deeply, personally,
She hesitates, sighing and a little bit of frustration, a little bit of like, ugh, like not like a disgust, just like, how do I? This situation is confusing for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
Pulling my dirty laundry into it is a waste of time. Because there's no way that there's no way it has anything to do with this.
And I trust you on that.
I don't want it to be, anyway.
I trust your judgment. And I don't see how any of your, as you said, dirty laundry would be involved with it anyway.
Seems you're the only one because...
Yeah, well,
you were here when that happened.
But, I don't know, I think that we'll figure it out. They're very, like, they don't know what to say in this moment. And they just kind of, yeah, I think you should give yourself more grace. And I think that we'll get to the bottom of this.
I think I need to speak with you all in a place where we can ensure no one else is listening.
Okay.
This library is a bit public.
It's really nice, though. But
Suppose
yeah, we'll have a conversation, all of us, at a better time.
Hmm.
But you're okay?
You should run off
I will.
and read something more.
Okay.
I'll be fine. I've been through worse.
Well, this time you're not doing it alone. I won't let you.
The look in her eyes says that she doesn't believe you.
Mara doesn't say either, but she kind of
She
gives like
doesn't
an assuring, like, I am truthing. But she will, after that, leave and walk back towards Elmabena and Guckflip.
At this point, do either of you say anything? Like, you might say anything to Martyr?
Guckflip is uncomfortable and balls deep in literature to cope.
I don't know. I don't think so. Elmabena will, like, bump shoulders with Martyr.
Marta kind of gives her like a tight-lipped white person smile of like, I feel bad about what just happened. But won't say anything.
Yeah.
I will say we're probably getting to around 1,200 hours. Let's say we've spent about 3 hours kind of combing through stuff.
When Martyr leaves, you'll see that the notes that Ariadani was taking were on like a loose leaf piece of paper. She swapped to now be writing in a journal. Still furiously writing, but it's now in something different.
A journal. How interesting. And so you're starting to hear people coming back from town. And
How does that work? It takes 2 hours to go up and down the mountain.
it takes 2 hours for you guys to go
Oh.
up and down. These are trained monks who do this regularly.
So
Remember,
they're only in town for like an hour?
also, there might be multiple ways up.
I see.
Maud might have pulled a fast one on you guys. But don't think about it too much. You might be Elmabena's like, how did they get back so
Yeah.
fast? You can ask Maud if you want. So people are starting to come back. It is now getting to sort of it's starting to quiet down. Maud and Noodles, I think, come back in after chatting to inform you, like, of what's happening. Maud, would you like to tell them, to quiet down, maybe? Because it's kind of personal.
Oh, well, as Maud and Noodles walk in, Maud is, like, still looking at Noodles like they were talking. She's like, so that's what I meant the chimera. Oh, guys, it's group meditation time. So it's just a little more quiet, please.
Should we move to a private room, kind of thing?
Oh, sure. I don't think Chris would mind if we used his room. It is attached to the library.
Is it soundproof?
Is anything? Or we could go downstairs.
I think that'd be better.
Yeah.
Not someone else's room.
All right, follow me.
So you all head to that main room where you slept, and you see in the top, like, northeast corner of that room, there are stairs that go down to lower levels. You walk past a lot of people in this room doing group meditation. It's a little rude to come through this room while it's happening, but you also understand the necessity. They're not obviously going to cause a problem, so you just go through there. You do it as quietly as possible, I imagine. And what you enter is kind of just more like stone rooms. However, this is very clearly in the mountain. You have entered sort of mountain. This stairway keeps going kind of through this tunneling, but there are a few rooms that you can kind of hang in. There's nothing really in them. This is clearly transitionary to get to here. You also, I think, realize, if Elmabena was wondering, that this is a passage from the much shorter passage down into town to the monastery.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so do we find a place?
Oh, let's go in here. She just kind of walks into a room.
Again, this room has very little in it. There's probably a few pillows to sit in, and a few candles about. Maybe this would be a space for personal reflection or meditation, or prayer. There'd be a few incense, but again, very bare bones room carved out of the mountain.
I couldn't say anything because the library was a bit too public. And I was caught off guard by your question, Maud.
Sorry.
But unfortunately, I think I've figured out aeons more than the rest of you have at this point because of the information that I have. I could be wrong. I'm just... Things are lining up, and it's too much at this point to keep from you. I want to preface this by saying I have done nothing wrong. I am not directly involved. I was just affected by it. I think it would make sense that a deal between two nations, one involving Umberleen, would be plausible to have, and I think I know why. She's like really struggling to figure out how to say this. My brother did do something. Something so big that in order to keep a war from happening then, 6 years ago, they had to keep it hidden. And I think that Esserin is using the fact that it's having to stay hidden to their advantage to make sure that Umberleen doesn't get involved. Blackmail, maybe. Esserin, I think, has information on Umberleen that keeps us in more control than the treaty does. And that's saying something. 6 years ago, a member of the councils came to Umberleen to sign the treaty. She doesn't use the name on purpose. And my brother... She sighs deeply. He decided that he didn't want the Fae people to be under the control of the treaty anymore. Whether or not he took it into his own hands or someone who was forcing his, I don't know. I desperately want to believe it was not his active, conscious choice to do this, because I know my brother, that's not him. But as an act of protest, he attacked the council member to set an example. A gruesome, graphic, horrific example. And growing up, he and I were partners in crime, so everyone thought that I was involved. I was sick of telling people I wasn't, so I left. I'm not involved in this. I had no idea. Pulled this right out from under my nose.
Can I insight that?
I think...
I'm
sure,
not deceiving, though.
Roll insight. Ariadani roll deception, I guess. Yeah, I know. You don't really need to, but... Gut Club, I think something is becoming very clear to you. There's been always a part of you that I think knew it didn't make sense. You know, your uncle dying like that. It wasn't an accident. Like, why did he come back so disfigured, so horribly unrecognizable? If it was just an accident, there's a tree branch falling on him, just a infrastructure problem, right? And that's becoming clear to you in this moment.
Funny
Due
enough,
to that,
with the roll and stuff, Ariadani rolled a 1, and I'm going to say that's because of emotions.
I rolled a nat 20. I believe you so much.
Oh my god.
I rolled a nat 1. I'm not even going to add my deception, because I'm not deceiving. She's telling the truth. She had nothing to do with this. What you're getting from her is that she feels disgusting, not because she was guilty, but because she's talking about her brother, who, like, this act is like, this is a fucking stranger. This is not the person that I grew up with. So it's like, I hate that I have to say that my brother did this, because my brother, the one I know, did not do this, kind of thing. So it's that. It's not, I'm guilty because I'm into it. I'm in it. It's just, no. She's telling the truth. She was not involved.
Gutflip hearing this is frozen, essentially. like Mael said, he did kind of have suspicions. He wasn't totally sure, and probably nor was his family, really. And since it was first brought up earlier in the library, it's, something that he's been thinking about. And so, upon hearing it, it's not anger or, anything, certainly not at Ariadani. It's just coming to terms with, one of the more worst case scenarios of the situation.
Well, thank you for telling us, Ariadani.
I had no choice.
And I'm sorry I pushed too hard.
You were looking for answers. I'm not going to fault you for that. You were doing what we were asked to do. Just reading all of this, if I had any suspicions as to what deal could have been made with your Mammalia, it's to hide that, because if that deal wasn't made, the war would have started 6 years ago. If we had got out about that. I was surprised war didn't break out. So I assumed something was going on to hide it.
Thank you for telling us the truth. I really appreciate it. I do think that our next step should be going to Dahlia now.
Just to confirm if that's the reason?
Potentially.
What does Esserin get out of it?
Control over your Mammalia.
Why are they starting this war now? With Kiamoria?
Probably.
They use the rejection of the prince.
And then once they've...
As a cover-up?
I'm sure they believe that they will win. Once they win over Kiamoria, they'll have more power and control, and like you said, be closer to
wipe us out.
Yeah.
And they can't even say that they were the ones who orchestrated it all. I'm sorry, but I don't believe that Kaimanos would have done that of his own free will. He was fooling around with that one high elf. She was very controlling, and the look in his eyes when it all happened, he did it in front of the entire fucking city. Everyone saw it, and the look in his eyes, that was not my brother.
Love spell, maybe?
I don't think it was that. If it was a love spell, he would have been more smitten.
It could be under, charm spell of sorts. Some sort of controlling.
I've also never seen him with that kind of power before. He was charismatic. He got what he wanted through words, not through magic. And we don't have any inherent power.
Perhaps...
We weren't born with anything, so I don't...
Martyr kind of their eye twitches. Sorry, go ahead.
Perhaps it wasn't even your brother. It could have been somebody disguised as...
No, it was him.
Okay.
It was his body. I visited him.
Sorry, you said he had power that he didn't have before?
Yes. Not just... He was a built guy. I would have expected him using physical strength, but there was just like an aura about him. He was using magic that I've never seen him use before.
Do you think maybe he was convinced to make a deal with something? The warlock is warlocking.
Okay, meta-wise. Remember the whole thing about a thread?
No.
Yeah.
Like the one that was...
The fates? The big...
Well, like the big
rope
one.
that-
Oh,
Either
yeah, I
ends
do
or the
now.
rope gets cut.
No, I do now.
Yeah, the war ends or the rope gets
Yeah,
cut.
no, I do now, sorry.
Dude.
Sorry.
Like the whole thing.
No, I very much do now. Yeah, I just need a little bit more reminder.
It's like not like our whole mission.
Sorry, just the thread didn't spark it for me, but I got you now.
Well,
Okay. I was just thinking, like, because now there's a new player in this where it's Ari's
No.
Ari's brother's girlfriend.
No.
Sorry.
no, you'll meet him later.
I said it right after. Ari's brother's girlfriend. Right? So, what was the girl's name?
Axilia Harrieth.
At the last name, Guckflip, you recognize that as one of the keeping families at SRN.
H-A-R-R-I-E-T-H? Fuck, how do
Well, it
how
was
do I
a
spell
keeping
it?
family.
I
Just part of the noble family, basically?
No, a keeping family is essentially a family given power by the, major royal family to maintain, sovereignty over a specific part of the nation.
The only person I can think of that he would make a deal with willingly is her, but she was just a fucking elf.
I'm not talking
A
about.
meek one at that.
I'm not talking about people.
I mean, her last name is the same as a family who does hold... The fuck is the word you used?
Keeping family.
Okay, her last name is that of a keeping family in Esserin.
That wouldn't give him power, though. Unless she herself was something that could grant him power. I'm not sure.
Or she
Maybe?
could have convinced him to make a deal with something that could give him power. I didn't have power before I made a deal with my patron.
Kaimanos liked to know the source of anything he got. He wouldn't just blindly take from anyone. So just being told to trust a deity or a higher power or something, that's...
Well, unless he was blinded
Blinded how?
by a charm, a spell, a potion.
I need that list to just
Something.
keep going forever. A charm, a spell, a potion, a person,
A stick?
A book, a bird, a pillow,
Steam?
A
A
leaf?
cloud of smoke?
a door.
I don't
Sorry.
I...
Cause, well, you said she was an elf, right?
A high elf, yes.
High elf. Well, maybe she seduced him to do her and her family's dirty work of, sorry, Gucky, killing the dude boy. No, what's the chancellor, what's the word?
I just said a representative.
Counselor. Okay.
Yeah.
To kill the representative or counselor or whatever, and then blame it on the Fae, so that they then have motivation to start a war when the time was right.
But if that was true, then they would have started a war with Yomamelia, not with Kiamoria. I think what they've done is they might have used that. My wishful thinking is wanting to say that fucking cunt brainwashed him, gave him power or something, made him do that so that Esserin could have Yomamelia on a hidden, tighter leash. So now they can't interfere, because if they didn't have that, Yomamelia would happily be fighting Esserin as well. But they've stayed quiet. I can't imagine why they would have the sneaking suspicions around the Fae involved in this war, because when the deal with them is to explicitly make sure they're not involved.
Kiamoria was supposed to have an ideological conflict with Yomamelia. Not that I really know what that's about. Lord Weyes Noros.
You did it.
Yay. Lord Weyesneros said that there was a silent conflict going on between Kiamoria and Yamamelia also at this time, as well as the overt war between Esserin and Kiamoria. And he suspected that there were ties between Yamamelia and Esserin. But I don't know why Kiamoria or Esserin... Esserin...
The only reason I can...
has reason to not like Yamamelia, if we consider their queen.
The only reason I can think of that would put tension between Kiamoria and Yamamelia is, like I said, Yamamelia we fucking hate Esserin. So maybe it's that Kiamoria would have reached out and been like, hey, can you help us in this war against people you fucking hate? And we would have jumped on that but the only way I can think of that would pose conflict between Kiamoria and Yamamelia is Yamamelia being secretly forced to say no to helping Kiamoria fight Esserin because of the short leash. That's the only thing I can think of, because I don't have enough information. I don't know about Kiamoria's involvement.
Suppose that's why we have to go to Dahlia.
Looks like we might need more info.
Looks like we might need to go somewhere we can get more info.
Ooh.
I think that right now we're going to take a dinner break.
At least.
We can discuss this more later.
And because it seems that we've gotten to a point in roleplay and conversation where we can take some either personal time to think over the riddles in like extra outside of roleplay, or we will just pause it there and we'll come back as we've decided clearly now. The next step is,
Dahlia.
We're going to take a little break right now. I think that's where we will end this first part for dinner.